I got option. Let's head to extraction.
Life support
We got enough air to get there.
for the Lotus.
We're playing Warframe, and we have been playing Warframe for the podcast because it's an easy game to talk over.
But it's also an easy game to lose track of sometimes.
It's also an easy game to spend money in.
This is true. Although it does have, I think, in my opinion, it does have one of the better microtransaction systems.
Yeah, that's why I play it. Go ahead and release. We'll extract.
I'll just die, and then you can just extract with me dead.
Yeah. Is it? Do I have to? There we go. Yeah, so Warframe is a free-to-play game. You can play it on every console. You can even play it on the Switch now. Hashtag not spawn. Actually, apparently, speaking of that, like, hashtag stuff, like, non-spawn, Instagram has announced that hashtag not spawn is not a strong enough statement to, disclose. It's not considered full disclosure of sponsorship. I thought that was interesting. Anyways, so it's a free-to-play game, and so talking about free-to-play games, they're interesting because the developers don't get money for people downloading them or buying them or installing them. Right. I mean, it's obvious because it's free to play, or I call it free to start for most games.
Right.
So what they have to do is they have to implement. Everyone knows this, but just to get its
context.
Yeah, just get the conversation started. So, in order to make money off these games, the developers have to figure out things that they can sell in the game that people can spend real money on, either directly or indirectly. I like the indirect mechanics more. So, for Warframe, for example, there's a crafting system to make weapons and to make warframes and to get items and to get all your fun goodies. And the way that the crafting system works is you have to get all the components for the thing through grinding in the game, and then you can make it, or you can craft it. Let me use terminology here. But crafting takes time. To craft a weapon, it takes at least 12 hours. To craft a warframe, it takes 3.5 days. Minimum. So one of the options you have is you can collect all the components, put it in the crafting foundry, and then you can rush it. Spend a little bit of premium currency, and you can craft it instantly. But you got to buy the premium currency to do that.
Mm-hmm.
The other option is you can just flat out buy it out the market for a little more currency than it would cost to rush it.
Usually quite a bit more currency, but yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm just being generous here.
Right.
And so these are the three fundamental ways to get anything in the game. Two of them make money for the company. Excuse me. And so this creates a market for people to buy and sell currency within the player bases. You have anything you want to add?
Oh no, I think that basically what it does is that you take away the upfront cost. So like in the bad old days of software, you paid for a box, you went home, you took the discs out, you installed on your machine, and that became yours. And so the business model for that generally was like upgrades or our replacement. You bought Word, for example. You bought Word 95, and you used Word 95, and Word 95 is fine, and then they came out with Word 98. I think it was the next one. Well, you spend your several $100s again to be able to buy the next one. Yeah, and I think like one of the things you kind of want to keep in mind is like there's no like let's not pretend that um like the software was a better and more generous thing, like in the past. No, when you bought things up front, there's always the idea that that was going to become obsolete and you'd have to buy the next thing. And for games, this basically meant that you'd have to buy the sequel for the game, or you'd have to buy the next game made by if some company id Software comes out with Doom's great, Doom's fun. Well, guess what? They're not making more money off Doom, so now you have to go out and buy Quake.
Right.
A first-person shooter type game, but shinier graphics, better technology, all that stuff.
Momentum physics.
Right, and so basically, this is what this was the business model. Games are always developed based on the business model. A lot of it just kind of depends on what people are used to for the business model, and people were used to kind of upfront purchasing for software. But like the business model was still something that people kept in mind as they're developing the game, because they're planning for the sequel or the expansion or whatever. Yeah, and so eventually, we started getting more, especially as we started getting, it was easier to download stuff. We started looking at expansions and also then downloadable content, DLC. The idea being that like you paid for the basic game, but instead of them building a completely new game, a sequel or whatnot, you what time is it in the for Eidolon?
Oh, let me look.
So the idea was that you bought the base game, but instead of them paying for instead of them making an expansion or a sequel or whatnot, you would basically just kind of buy smaller pieces of downloadable content to keep the game interesting.
16 minutes. And I'm sorry if my mic picked up my disgusting noises.
We just call that talking. So. And as we kind of go along, then basically you kind of had more and more things, kind of like we had the kind of concept of microtransactions, where it'd be like you spend very small things, and this we get this in the idea of like Warframe. You buy platinum, you buy the premium currency. Warframe is very interesting, like Malgrim said, where you can actually trade the premium currency to buy things. And we can talk about good microtransaction design later, but that's actually a really smart thing to allow people to trade for it. Even though that means that potentially people like Malgrim can basically buy premium stuff without spending money. Somebody eventually does have to spend money for that platinum if they trade it to him. So, and then then we've seen things like the lock boxes and other randomization stuff, which people tend to kind of tar with the brush of gambling. But these are things that kind of keep a game running longer. A lot of the kind of the business philosophy behind free to play was that it's easier to give people kind of that first taste of a game if it's free. And so a very early game that did this was RuneScape, where they in an era where MMOs were all buy a box and then pay a subscription, RuneScape is like, nope, we're just going to run the browser and you can play it for free. And so they got a whole lot of people to play it. And they, even if you did subscribe, I think it was only $5 a month, when most games were like, $10 to $15 a month. So it was, not only was it free, but it was also cheap to subscribe to get your bonuses. And that made them a whole ton of money. Because, basically people were already invested in the game. That's kind of the idea here, is that if you're playing Warframe and your friend gets the shiny new Prime Warframe, well, you want that too. So depending on what your threshold is, you might buy it outright. You might throw down a credit card to buy it off the marketplace. You might go farm for things and then spend platinum to rush the build, in order to so you can have the shiny new thing that your friend has as well. But like a lot of times the games kind of encourage this type of thing where kind of get you in there, get you hooked, get you invested in the game, and then get you to spend money. Ideally what you're comfortable with, but it's not up to the game company to say what's a good amount of money or a bad amount of money to spend.
I put the idle cock up on the stream.
Oh, fancy.
I know.
Yeah, and so like we've kind of changed the microtransaction. We've changed the business model a bit. And there's like microtransactions tend to get a lot of hate because there's this feeling that they're less fair. But I always argue that it's not so much an issue of fairness; it's an issue of what people are used to.
Right, and I think hate on just general microtransactions has gotten easier because it's shifted from just like buying things in game to loot boxes in particular with RNG buying.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean the theory being that there's kind of two factors working here. One, you can potentially get somebody to spend a lot more money than they might be willing to otherwise. Oh, it's $1 per key. Well, you spent you bought 50 keys to get this item. And you got a lot of other items along the way, but if you're focused on getting one item, you spent 50 keys, you spent $50, whereas you might have personally valued that at only $25 or something like that. The other element is that like people like surprises, like pleasant surprises, and so if you really want this item, oh my god, item, but you open it, you open your third lockbox and you get the item. That's exciting. That's fun. That's great. Because that's kind of the opposite of what I talked about. You spent $3 for something that you think is worth $25. That's amazing.
Right, and then it makes you go, "Oh, there's this other thing. Maybe I'll get lucky again." And then you jump right back into it again.
And I can give it to my friend. Yeah, exactly. And so because you have a lot of like the luck of the draw. I mean, and you see this a lot in games. Like a perfect example from Warframe, which I mean. Again, I love Warframe. We play it a lot. I think it's got a really great business model. But you look at the relics. How happy are you when you see one of the gold rare relics? Results from the relic. After you've closed a fissure. That's amazing. Especially, I didn't even refine that relic, and we got the rare item. That's great.
I got 4 of those the other day. 4 gold drops in a row from unrefined relics.
You didn't have me along. I see how it is.
Nope. You were asleep.
See, this is what I have to put up with. Anyway, and so, and I think, and so like a lot of people want to talk about these things and regulate them like gambling and whatnot. I mean, the thing is like you get. Like I said, it kind of depends on your mentality. If you're like, oh hey, I'm gonna spend $10, get 10 keys, see what I get. Hey, that's great. I think that's like lockboxes are a fine thing, but when people kind of fixate on like, oh my god, I really want the super rare drop that's 1 in 100. The lockboxes make it seem like it's a lot more possible to get that. Rather than than if it's just put on the market for $100.
Right. Yeah. When I bought Overwatch, I bought the collector's edition, which was $60, but I think it was on sale. But I got a $60 gift card to buy it. Right. So it was like I think it was like $50 at the time. So I had $10 extra that was just on my Blizzard account, and I couldn't really do anything with it. So I'm like, screw it. I'll just spend it on loot boxes.
Right.
Which I think that was an intentional thing for them.
I mean, almost certainly. Yeah, that's one of the things that there's a lot of little tricks and tips you can do, like, to get people to spend money. Because, like, I think the big thing is, like, like the intro package where, we'll sell you 60 60 units of premium currency. Well, the big thing everybody's going to want is going to be 40 units of currency. Well, you got 20. It's not quite enough to buy anything interesting. I guess I'll throw a couple more bucks in that so I don't waste it.
Right, exactly. Like these systems can be intentionally designed to encourage.
Oh, the systems are intentionally designed. Like I said, like no game developer makes these things without thinking about a lot of these things. Like, it's just like these things we just got kind of used to them with a lot of the older business models. Upfront sales, expansions, DLC. We just see it as, I think we see microtransactions is a lot more sinister because it's a newer thing. Kind of going back to what we we're talking about with like legitimacy in games. The newer thing, the newer medium, gets looked at with suspicion. Do you want to head to see this then?
Yeah, we're getting close. But
we're basically just kind of heading around a ship. I'm glad I don't stream because like people would just see me literally just jumping around my ship continuously.
I was going over my Haru build real fast and covering him. It's fine. I mean, that's what they watch me do, so it's fine.
No, like I am a real spaz when it comes to that. Like you are much more even tempered when it comes to moving around.
Well, yeah, I got tired of making people get sick when they watch me. Like it is a skill that has to be tempered into you to be like, oh no, people are going to be horrified watching this. Like,
I mean, they are horrified, but for completely different reasons.
Huh? What?
And yeah, so I think that yeah, I mean, like, I think like you can do microtransactions well, and I think like one of the big things that really helps, because I like the idea, I mean, this is not a new idea. The idea of microtransactions is not new. I mean, in economics we call this oh shit, what's the technical term for it? It's basically like like if you're selling something, one person is going to want to spend X amount of money, and then somebody else is going to spend Y amount of money. You ideally want to price your, give them enough options so that the person willing to spend X amount of money is going to spend X, and the person willing to spend Y money is going to spend Y.
It's like optional differentials or something like that.
Right, something like that. And so because the idea is if X is less than Y and you price something at X, well somebody is willing to give you more money, but you're not charging enough for them. And so this is where where you get like you'll often get like premium versions or something with more bells and whistles,
Basic
whatever.
Packs and
basic versus
premium and
premium, exactly. And so it. And so so microcurrency basically becomes this thing like if I'm willing to spend $10 a month, and you're poor and you can't spend anything in the game, but you can spend a whole lot of time in it. They don't have to kind of shun you out. If you look at like a subscription-based game, well, if I'm willing to spend $15 a month and you're not willing to spend any amount of money, well, the game only gets one of us as a customer. Or let's even say you're willing to spend $5 a month, but the subscription is $15 a month. They're only getting one of us as a customer. Whereas in Warframe, they have both of us as a customer. We can both buy microcurrency. I'll get more of the microcurrency, but because we can trade, then you could potentially do things, sell me things that are worth essentially $5 a month. Essentially, we're so we both get essentially $10. We're averaging $10 a month spending in microcurrency.
Right. There's more options. That's the
right. And so
Dejara says it's price discrimination.
Yeah, price discrimination. Thank you. Yes. Yes. Price discrimination. Yes. And so you have and so basically allows more people to participate in the game, and even people are spending nothing in the game are still useful because like other people create content in Warframe. You know, if you're running within a public game, I'll make sure you set the game to public. If you're running a
I did.
public game, you you have 3 other people there who are basically are helping you out providing content.
Yeah, I think I've been playing Warframe since it first released on Steam, which I think it was still an official open beta at the time.
Mm,
I think I've only put in like maybe $50 in the game total.
right. I mean, yeah, and, like I'm like you're looking at like for example, talking about more like for Warframe, I've actually spent quite a bit of money because I've bought in some of the Prime packs when they've released the primes of the older Warframes, and those are like $50-$60 a pop. But it happens every few months, so it's not like I'm it doesn't feel like I'm throwing it in a whole lot of money all at one time.
Mm-hmm.
And I've bought some platinum when I've had the deep discount codes, when I've gotten the random
75%.
yeah, 75% off usually. And so but looking at like for example DDO versus Final Fantasy 14, which is kind of the 2 main MMOs I play currently. I don't subscribe to DDO, but I spent a lot of money on microcurrency to buy access to the game. Whereas in Final Fantasy 14, I've probably spent about the same amount of money, played it for less amount of time, but like I'm spending money on expansions and subscription.
Mm-hmm. Actually, talking about the price discrimination, 14 is actually really good for that because it has 2 different models.
Right.
It has standard payment, and then it has entry payment.
Right.
And and entry payment is $12 a month, while standard is $15.
Right.
And it's really nice because if you're not sure about the game, you can spend just a little less money. You get access to 1 character per server as opposed to 10 or 8.
8, yeah.
And but you still get full access to the game. It just limits how many characters you can make at a time.
Right. Especially in Final Fantasy 14, which is a game that like really doesn't rely too heavily on alts.
The only thing an alt is good for is just inventory space, really.
Right.
I mean, it's just purely functionally. I play in roleplay community, so we all have 8 characters that we switch between.
Right. When drama flares up in one, you can hide and go into another one.
It's not even a joke.
I'm not joking. I'm not joking.
Haha.
Right. And so that's another example of price discrimination. They also have the retainers you can pay per month for,
which for crafters are a requirement.
Yeah, I've managed to avoid it, but I'm cheap, and B, I'm really I've mentioned before, I really love inventory management. I'm a total nerd about this thing.
The head crafter in my crafting guild that I have been a part of for years and years and years. That's where most of my mods come from. He has all 8 retainers that you can purchase.
Yeah.
He has an entire FC chest to himself, and chocobo saddles, everything, and he's still full on inventory.
Right.
Because
let me swap over to my.
No problem. Just because he hoards inventory, he hoards crafting materials so that he can make literally anything in the game that anyone could possibly want.
Right. I mean, I kind of do the same thing, but I'm willing to ditch crafting materials that I can purchase cheap on the auction house and things that are I mostly keep. I mean, I can be pretty aggressive about what I keep and what I throw away. But I mean, like this is kind of, but this is actually another interesting topic to talk about. The idea of kind of mixed games.
Mm-hmm.
Where you have games that are basically both, like Final Fantasy, where it's both subscription and upsell and optional purchases.
Right. I mean, like Star Wars Galaxy is kind of like that, but it's a bad example.
Right.
Just because it is not the Old Republic is not a fair game to its players. That's the only way I can describe it, because it's a subscription game, but it's set up in such a way that you still have to make purchases in it on top of the subscription.
Right.
There's no way around it.
Yeah, the game I talked about before, DDO. One of the reasons I like it is because it's almost like a dual business model. You can have you can either subscribe or buy microcurrency. And if you subscribe, you essentially get it started as a subscription-based game. If you subscribe, then you get pretty much everything you got with subscribing before. It's just that now there's the optional shop, and if you subscribe, then basically you get a bunch of microcurrency along with you as well.
Mm. Where the hell is this Vomulus? Jeez, this Vomulus just keeps like zipping away from me. Okay, there's my.
I've got a charge lure, so.
Yeah, I have a charge lure, so I'm just gonna grab another one.
But yeah, and so like Final Fantasy 14, I love it as a game. It's a lot of fun, but it does tend to frustrate me a bit because it feels like it double dips a lot.
Mm-hmm.
In its business model. You have you pay a subscription, you pay for expansion, but then they keep on releasing items that basically they keep trying to upsell you on more retainers. They keep on trying to upsell you on the number of characters you can create. They try to they have a business model that basically they have a business model basically like where you a lot of the kind of nifty items that is available in the store.
What, I mean, like, personally, the only thing that bothers me about the Malk shop is that there's limited ways to get multi-person mounts, and most of them are out of the Malk, the cash shop.
Right.
Like, that's the only thing I don't like. Like the vanity items and stuff, it's fine, whatever. We get enough. The proportion of like glamours and vanity items are more favoring towards in-game acquisition versus cash shop purchase. Right. It's just a multi-passenger mount thing that bothers me. But supposedly we're supposed to be getting a 4-man mount through in-game acquisition in the next expansion pack.
Right.
So that might, help correct that issue. It's probably just going to be a pain in the ass to get.
Right. I mean, obviously. I expect there to be a cash shop equivalent where
with a prettier skin.
Yeah, I mean, certainly, but yeah, there's, I mean, this is one of the problems you run into. This is one of the problems you run into with microtransactions. Basically, there's an encouragement to put things on microtransactions, and this has game design implications too. Like, I think one of the best examples of this is the idea of the event stuff from holidays,
Mm-hmm.
where they'll give out outfits and emotes and whatnot. But then it, that essentially they put it up for sale the next year in the shop, and so, like, in my opinion, like, one of the best things they've ever released in the game, then one of the worst things they've ever released in the game, as far as like holiday purchases go, have come from like the Valentine's Day event.
Right.
One of the best things is the dote emote, which is basically, it looks identical to the blowing a kiss emote that everybody gets access to, but it shoots out a cute little heart.
And it's adorable. And then
it is adorable.
And then the role-playing circuits, like, it's a requirement.
Right.
Anything like that that's cute is a requirement.
But like, but then you look at the Valentine's Day event this year.
Oh, there's like nothing.
Yeah, basically, I mean, like, yeah, like the big thing, like, there was a cutesy housing item. If you're not into stuffies or plushies, kind of, was terrible. There was a couple of food items which can be consumed, so these are not permanent items. And then there was a couple of items, and one of the weapons, like one of them was a Tomberry knife. You can't even glamour.
Right.
And then there's a Dark Knight sword, which was I mean, it basically was patterned off an enemy, an enemy's weapon. But yeah, it was just kind of terrible. But yeah, and so like, part of the problem with the selling the items in the microtransaction after the fact is that basically you have people kind of like they can't recycle things. Like like if they did another Valentine's Day event and they hand out dote, that'd be great. Everybody would be so happy.
But they'd lose money.
But exactly. Now the problem becomes that they would lose money on that, so they can't. So so now it's like, well, okay, I guess we'll offer this kind of lame thing for this year. And
I think they did one time they did that where they redid an event that for something that was on the cash shop. I think they redid lightning returns after the outfit was on the cash shop. Like one time. Which I thought was weird. Like I noticed that, I'm like, isn't that on the cash shop? Like, but it might have just been a, here's your last chance to get it for free type thing.
Right.
Which, I mean, those outfits are okay, but they're not the best in the world.
And, the other thing too is that might have been a experiment. Will people, like, how much money do they lose if they reoffer things? Collecting data.
Yeah, that's the other thing that like, I don't think people realize that sometimes when game developers do weird decisions like that, it's all just to get data off of you.
Right. I mean, it could also be like, like you said, legitimately, oh, hey, people want this. Let's give them another chance to, for them to go and try to acquire it.
2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we're good on. Why isn't the guy coming to do it?
Mark the location.
There he goes. And sorry if we get a little quiet. This the rest of this.
These do require a little bit of concentration.
Yeah,
probably some swearing.
These are kind of like world raid bosses that we're doing.
Yeah, if you have young children, they're sensitive to salty language.
Too bad.
You might want to have them leave the room now.
Or mute us. That's fine too.
Yeah, we're used to it.
That's why I put the timer up. Once the timer goes back to daytime.
But I think I think that you run into like a lot of problems. Like it feels like you said, like Dungeons and Dragons Online. I like because it feels like the business model is truly. It feels like it's truly an alternative.
Right.
You can either subscribe, or you can
I didn't get hollow grounded.
Oh, sorry. My bad. You can either basically, subscribe to the game, or you can basically buy currency. And it feels like either way is a legitimate way to do it. I mean, obviously they kind of strongly encourage you to subscribe because that's the more predictable thing.
Energy spike. I advise falling back.
But as somebody who basically plays the game, like you basically like in a group you can have one person subscribing, everybody else free to play, and it feels like you can still play the game fairly well.
Yeah, you were telling me one of the issues with the free-to-play system for that was talent rolling or stat rolling.
Yeah, I mean that's that is one of the kind of the negative aspects of the game where I mean this is basically kind of a problem the game had back when it was pure subscription, is that the amount of stat points you start with that you can spend to basically get your attributes, you start off with a lesser number, and then you can unlock a greater number. So your options are either to spend a whole lot of money up first, or you're going to spend basically a reroll item for a character if you're kind of interested in the character.
Right.
And so it's one of those things that
I advise falling back.
Hollow ground.
Okay, I got it. Thank you.
Yeah, and so basically it becomes one of those things where you if you don't if you want to play the character and you want power, well, you're kind of shut out of luck, unless you spend money. And like I said, this is a problem. This was a problem in the with the game originally. It was this is a problem with the game originally because you had, this is the way it worked. There wasn't even the option to buy the microcurrency, buy the thing up front.
Mm-hmm.
That's at least an option now.
Oh my god. Did we just lose a war?
No.
I was trying to heal them up the best that I could.
Energy spike. I advise falling back.
All ground.
Nice.
I got the bleeding out person.
You got him? Okay.
No, he died.
Oh.
He forced me to wait to get there. And so yeah, so basically when you have a game that like Final Fantasy in a way, and they got games, the kind of the companion game, the sister game to Dungeons and Dragons Online was Lord of the Rings Online.
Mm-hmm.
Dungeons and Dragons Online went from a subscription-based game to a free-to-play game, and I really like them all. But then they kind of did the same thing with the Lord of the Rings Online, but they got the business model was not quite as generous as as it should have been, in my opinion.
Oh, what the hell? I thank you.
Energy spike. I advise falling back.
Because one of the things like in the Lord of the Rings Online, collect crafting recipes, and especially for tailoring. There's a lot of crafting recipes because you had all the different levels. You had cloth and leather, and like you had a lot of cosmetic items and whatnot. And so it took a while because like a lot of these things were drops. So a lot of times it would take a while for you to find the drops and accumulate the drops and whatnot. And so it was very frustrating to me to have kind of a personal goal of trying to acquire all the recipes for specifically for tailoring, only for the game basically to only for the base of the game to go like, no, now we're going to put something specifically on the market. The market.
Right.
And make it so that these are purchase only. It's like, well, now I can no longer get. I mean, and like Final Fantasy does a little bit of that too. Like on my character, I like to gather minions.
Mm-hmm.
For no particular reason. Like I only use about 2 or 3 of them. But like I just like I want to collect them, and but now like there's so many minions that are essentially there's so many minions that basically are basically Mog
Pass
Station.
up only, yeah.
Right. And so like there's a couple of sites that will track which items you have.
And there are some in-game implications to that too. Because you have like the Gold Saucer Lord of Verminion minigame.
Yeah, right.
That is dependent on what minions you have. So like there's actually some cash from what I was reading, there's some cash shop minions that are really freaking powerful in there.
Right.
But there's also some exclusive minions that no one can get anymore, like the Kate Sith doll.
Right.
That is actually really good as a really good attack for that minigame.
Right.
And then and if you're really into that minigame, that gives you a reason to buy like the expansion, the collector's edition for the expansions.
They usually give, yeah.
They always give a minion. They always give a glam item.
Right.
And all that stuff.
Usually, yeah.
I mean, personally, like I always get the collector's editions, but did I lose my lore? Okay, we do have 3 lores, so we're good. We just have to keep an eye on, keep them healed up.
No pressure, huh?
This is a really good group, though, so far.
Yeah.
We might be able to do a double run. Which that would be exciting, wouldn't it?
Ooh. More dead air. There we go. Fuck. Yeah, this is the one that's gonna.
This is the hard
generate
guy.
the most swearing. Yeah, it's gonna generate all the swearing.
Ooh. I mean, I managed the Void Shroud his AOE there. That was great. Oh god. Oh yeah, and I become very religious when I do this fight. Just for this fight though, and then I go back to being an atheist. Not really.
There's no atheist foxholes or triathlon hunts, huh?
Oh my goodness.
Oops.
Whoa, what the hell? My operator didn't die, but I still got knocked out of. That was weird.
Well, you don't. Yeah, sometimes you'll have a couple hit points left before you.
Energy spike. I advise falling back.
It's a hollow ground.
There we go. Yep. Got it. We're good. I'm actually gonna pause the timer here because
Yeah, there's not gonna be a whole lot of
podcasting here. No.
No, this is why this is a casual guys.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah, this is actually like some of the hardest content in Warframe at the moment too.
Yeah, yeah.
We're gonna need a hollow ground
Yeah, got it.
for the blooms too.
Yeah.
There it goes. How the war's doing? One of the wars is all the way back at the shrine.
Oh. Oh.
I'm gonna go. Or you got it?
I go get it.
Okay. Someone must have double tapped X on it by accident.
Right. Okay.
Out of energy. I want to get the Rubico, but I need a. I'd have to get it.
He's falling back.
Hall ground's out.
Okay. Did you get the war?
Yep, yep.
Okay, I don't see it.
I told it to come.
Is it bugged?
It might be bugged.
Okay, I'll go. Well, he teleported away anyways because he hit the water. I don't think we're gonna get a double run now.
Eh. Such is life, huh?
I'll grab a spare war just to be safe.
Oh, there's a K drive here. You can use K drive there.
Someone traveling via K drive?
There's a K drive.
Okay, I got my lord charged up. Where'd the Tyrolist go? Or the Hydrolist, I mean. I mean, it should be pretty obvious. It should have some elemental effects around it. Sorry that we divulged from the podcast, but we really need to get some stuff done with this, guys.
Right, right.
Oh,
Well, oh.
found him. So yeah, apparently Vault is a really good frame to have for this too because it's of its shield. Because its shield adds buffs your output damage. And that's how a lot of these snipers are like 1 and 2 shotting.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Shoot, I ran out of energy.
Uh-oh. I don't have Xenoric on me, unfortunately.
Oh, there, I got 100 energy.
Okay.
Everything's fine. Everything's fine.
I'm out of energy, but I'm less important as long as we have this really strong Volt. Oh. We got Starfall happening. And we got a Bloom coming. Hologram when you can. Never mind.
Oh, I see somebody dropped a energy beat. I can't forget I have those fucking energy pieces.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't carry them anymore.
I have a plenty of energy pieces actually. You need to yell at me if I'm out of energy.
Yeah, I stopped making them.
I got infinite, wheel space now, so.
It's the resource cost.
Energy spike. I advise falling
Uh,
I got a lure attached. Ooh.
excitement. Huh?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm mostly just using my her abilities on the last phase when we just have to damage it.
Right, right.
I'll pop my crit buff during that like charge up period. Oh, shit.
Energy spike. I advise falling
Oops.
back.
Oh, Starfall's happening again, I think. Can't tell. Yeah, it is. I was gonna plan on reading them. I did not get around to them, unfortunately. But that is why this is part 1 of Microtransaction.
Yeah,
Because
we're kind of spitballing like ideas and talking.
Because we had to do something this week. We will be doing a more traditional, structured podcast next week to have a more researched conversation about it. So, please look forward to it, as Yoshi P says. Looking forward to it intensifies. Yeah, you know, you gotta say about Yoshi P though, he is a very forward-looking person because he's always looking forward to it.
This is what passes for humor. What passes for humor when we're fighting.
I can't
bosses.
clever right now. Are you crazy?
I am called the Psychochild.
Oh, are we in charge up phase? Okay. I don't have energy. Drop me a pizza.
Done.
I don't know where it got dropped.
Oh.
Okay, I see it. Got him. That was the whole fight. 20 minutes, that's not going to be enough time. I mean, probably, but not while we're streaming and podcasting.
Yeah.
That's fine. One run is fine.
We're getting our rewards.
Yeah, I'm just trying. My Arcwing won't deploy so I can pick everything up. There it goes.